Hello, beautiful people. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I'm waiting for Matt to come on. I apologize for my voice. Um, I went to a concert last night and it was pretty brutal. I apologize for the time. It's because I had set it up on StreamYard at a certain time, but for some reason it appeared on YouTube at a different time. So I apologize for that. Hello, guys. How are you? I'm just waiting for Mr. Matt. He's probably getting his teacup ready. I did send him the right time. I just don't know why YouTube had it on that time. So let me check to see what time did I tell Matt. I know I don't. Yeah, yep. I told him the right time. So yeah. So yeah, hopefully he'll join me soon. How are you guys? I hope you're doing all well. Um, Again, I apologize for my voice. I just screamed too much last night. Please let me know where you're watching from. And I'm sorry if it's just that I yelled out so much. I think at some point, I think I lost my charm. I mean, you guys know that there's one person I adore is Cristiano Ronaldo. And pretty second close comes Cheyenne. So British Columbia, Canada, oh wow, Pennsylvania, hello guys. New Zealand, wow, that's awesome. So yes, guys, there's so much to talk about today. Ugh. ES says, honey, take honey. Guys, I can't. I drank too much last night. I am very fragile today. I was actually quite happy. My girlfriend, she's my best mate, Lebanon. Ooh. Um, my best friend talked me into going. So, Quebec, Canada. Hello, Puchi. Melbourne, Australia. Judith, hello, guys. Are there any mods here, guys? Thanks from UK. Besos. Hello, hello, New York. New York, that's awesome, guys. Okay, Matt's coming now. Let me see. Let me just say that. Let me just give him a call and see where he's at, because he should be joining. I made sure he got the right time, guys. So, well, anyways, we're gonna talk a lot about this. I gotta tell you guys, I'm a little bit shocked about people trashing. I know that you've all seen by now Dr. Chandauka's interview she gave to Sky News. I am absolutely shocked at people trying to trash this woman's record, you know, and trying to raise Harry's records up. Harry's only credentials and only claim to thing is that he's still a member of the monarchy. I didn't say royal family. I said monarchy. Okay. Um, I am just shocked that people are still questioning her. Um, the fact, I don't know if you know who the gentleman who was sitting right next to her was. His name is, let me get his name correctly because I don't want to muck it out. Okay. His name is, and please, I apologize if I murder his name or something. His name is, I don't mean to. Okay. But it's just that, I thought it was Ian, but then he says, he writes it IAIN. So I don't know if it's Ian Rawlinson, but he is basically, Ian was a trustee from 2002 and chairman from 2005 to 2013, and he chaired the Tusk Development Board from 2014 to 2020, and is still an honorary vice president for Prince William's Tusk Trust, of which he is the royal patron. And here we have Matt. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Now then, how are you?
Good. In your honor, I have planets as the background.
In my honour. It's
Yeah.
not really my honour. It's not my company.
No, but I know. No, you know what I mean. How are
Everything
you?
all
How
right?
was your trip? So fragile. I went to a concert last night, Matt. I debased myself yesterday. Oh my God, it's just that
It's
I adore the guy that I went to see, and it's incredible. He's 57 years of age, right? But the greatest part of it all is that you would see girls, young girls, their mothers, and all because his music is so awesome, and he doesn't look 57 at all. I mean, his body, but the music. I mean, it's just something about it. And of course, my best friend, she's even worse than I am, has a hots for him. City, shut up. It's yeah, she didn't help keep me the decorum, during the night at one point.
you sound hungover. You sound like you need about 4 pints of water down your neck.
Oh God, no, I don't want to drink anything. I'm never drinking again. No, but at one point he says, because everybody was so excited to see him, and then at one point he said he's going to call his father the next day to tell him how he was so well treated here. So I didn't think anybody, I was going to shout that loud, but I said, say hello to my father-in-law, and everybody heard it. I
Who
was
was
so
it?
embarrassed.
Anyone Ala
The
you're
same
of?
thing. Well, no, he's Latin. His Chayanne. His name is Chayanne. But for example, this is the guy. I mean, I said some things that were not ladylike watching him.
Oh, okay. There you go. So he's some Latin pop star.
Not just some
Um,
Latin pop star. Uh yes. Well, enough of that. But
well,
I still
yeah,
can't believe
I
the
don't know
things
much
I
about.
said, and the things I didn't know they had mics in the audience.
Is it better going to a concert down there? Because in the United States or the UK, when you go to a concert, the drink's like prohibitively expensive. Like not just slightly expensive, like stupidly expensive. Have you ever
Are
been to
you
a baseball
kidding?
game?
Are you kidding? A full shot of one of the best rums was like $1.50.
I gotta
Like,
move. Honestly,
yeah.
I went to a baseball game down here, a Dodgers game, and for like a bottle, like a bog standard bottle of Budweiser, which cost you like $1 in the store, they charge you like $18. And I was like, I'm not spending $300 to get hosed at a baseball
Oh
game.
my God. That no, it's expensive, For some reason they really rip people off, but here it's so cheap, and they were the sponsors, and people drink so much anyways, that they don't even water down the drinks. You can see them pouring them out from the bottle directly at some point, when you get to know, because the bars are all over the place.
Yeah,
When they come, they see you, instead of giving you like the double shot, they give you like a double and a half, it's like, oh,
oh, man,
don't bother.
that's living down there. That sounds like my type of party.
Yes, I mean, it's not good for somebody who's trying to stay sober. I can tell you that. But I've been wanting to talk to you so much. How was your vacation? And I've been following your trip to England. You seem to enjoy yourself quite a lot.
I did enjoy myself, but it was depressing the state of the decay in
Yeah,
Europe the last 10
yeah,
years.
yeah,
It's shocking. It seems like it's been a purposeful attempt because you can see it's the same in every country, right? They're all getting
yeah,
their direction from the globalist types.
yeah.
So the state of the rot's unbelievable. I think that the grand plan seems to be to just suck resources from the first world and just pump them into the third by not just giving them the money in aid, which is why Elon's been complaining about it, but also by importing tens of millions of them to Europe, hoping that they're going to send money back home. So I think they realized in the 80s and the 90s that the developing world wasn't developing, so they thought they'd just take a more guiding hand with it, and the guiding hand seems to be import 100 million of them to Europe and
Oh my God.
hope that works. But it's ludicrous. Like my hometown now, I walked like 3 miles right through the center of it. I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. 80% of the people there were foreign. I didn't hear anybody speaking English. This is in the northeast of England. There's no
Wow.
English people there anymore.
And
So
Cheshire, there must be some people left in Cheshire. I mean, I used to go to Cheshire a lot. I mean, it's pretty north there,
yeah,
you
well,
know.
you know what annoys me about that though? No, the problem is the northeast in specific compared to the rest of the country is the most deprived, and it's deprived because the nicer areas outsource the migration plans. So if you go to somewhere nice like York, it's still York. But if you go to my hometown, 80% of them are foreign. And you know what? It wouldn't even be so bad if they were all from the same foreign place, but
Yeah.
they aren't. They're from 25 different countries. At least if you dropped 5,000 Somalians in there, they'd all be able to communicate with each other and they'd
Yeah.
have their own little community. And then maybe you could have some sort of balance where you've got the natives and the Somalis and sort of like come to some sort of accord. But the way they've done it, where there's literally drop shipped 25 different nationalities into the town, everybody hates each other. Like
Yeah.
walking through the town centre was just naked hostility from all these different groups of men because it's Somalis and Egyptians and Moroccans and Algerians and Sudanese and Rwandans, and you can go on as long as you want. And none of these people get along or want to talk to each other, and it's dragged the entire region down. The northeast of England is far worse than it was 20 years ago. So it was immensely depressing going for a walk around
Oh,
my hometown.
I used to live there from 2004 till 2000, no, 2003 till 2006, no, or 2002. It's such a long time ago. But I used to live in Richmond and then in Hampstead Heath, and it was really, really beautiful back then.
Yeah,
And
not
and
anymore.
I mean, not anymore, huh?
No, it's
That's
awful.
terrible. That is absolutely, and it's a shame because I have lived, guys. I have lived because of my work. I lived in so many different countries, and it's so funny when people ask me, "Oh, um, did you go and look for the Canadian community when they found out I was Canadian or Latina or the Latino community?" And I said, "No, I'm here because you know why? What I'm here in the UK or I'm here in Belgium. I integrate with their culture. You know what I mean? When I
Yeah.
was in France, when I went to Spain, when I was in Norway, like in all the countries I've lived, I didn't seek out like what they consider my communities. I just blended in their communities. I try to learn their languages as much as I could. Um, I don't understand it, especially, well, I was there for work, but if you move to a country because you're fleeing your own, and then you go and do in another country what you are fleeing from to begin with, it makes no sense. I really do think it's my home, it's my rules kind of thing. And I don't understand why they are so scared of everything, to tell you the truth.
You know what I find fascinating about it is that a lot of people, very intellectual people, it's not just my opinion, I haven't pulled it out of the ether. People like that Gad Saad, like professional psychologists and psychiatrists, evolutionary psychologists, they've talked about how this woke thing is like a religion. They call it a mind virus as well, which is like what a religion is. Like, if you get
Yeah.
very, very, very devout people, like you remember when you had creationists, the
Yeah.
Catholic Church. The Catholic Church
Mhm.
has changed its mind so many times, but until the church gives you the nod, you can't change your mind, no matter
Yeah.
how much the evidence. So there used to be creationists, and they'd say the world was only made 6,000 years ago, and then people would say, "But what about the fossil record? What about carbon dating and all this stuff?" And they'd go, "No, no, 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 it's all nonsense." It doesn't matter how much evidence you provide them with; they'll never change their mind if they're in a cult until the cult leader tells them they're allowed to change their mind. And the thing with all this type of stuff is, it is again, it's just like a religious experience for them because you look at these very devout Islamic types, they'll come from failed states. They'll come from places that are the dead last in every metric that measures your quality of life. And then the first thing they do when they come to Western Europe is say, well, let's make it look more like home. They don't want to be home, but they can't wrap their head around it because the faith demands it of them. It's like, no, no, you have to get rid of the shopping malls, get rid of the water parks, get rid of the fun, and turn it into a dust bowl like you just left. And I find it quite bizarre how it's the same with this political ideology. It's like it obviously happens with the faith when they come from places like Morocco and Algeria and Somalia and Sudan, and then try to import the same culture, even
Yeah.
though it failed. And it's the same with the politics. It doesn't matter what reality means nothing to them. We all talk about Jeffrey Marsh and people like that.
Oh God,
Reality means
he appeared
nothing to
again.
them.
He appeared again, and now he's giving seminars, open seminars. It's like he's in
Well,
complete defiance of everything. No, he is a man. I don't care if he puts makeup on and he calls him. I mean, I, I sent you that thing. I mean, he makes my blood boil. Hello, Claudia. It's the kind of man that and I think now it's openly admitted that Brigitte is a Brigitte. Brigitte.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying though? It's the same. Like, because reality means nothing to them.
Nothing,
Like
nothing.
there's even worse cases. Like in England, I told you about. There was a guy who sexually assaulted like three different women, and
Yeah.
he's a skinhead with tattoos on his neck. Like, you can't get more of a stereotypical criminal male. But the second he flicks the switch and says, "Actually, I'm a woman," they cannot bring themselves to go, "Is he though?" Like, they can't do it.
No, I know. I
And I
know.
find it bizarre. It's as alien to me as if you said to me now, "There's a guy behind you with a baseball bat," and I looked and he's just walked through my door. I wouldn't go, "No, there isn't," but they
No,
do.
yeah, it's the gaslighting. That's
It's
incredible. It's the absolute gaslighting. And I find that the mainstream media, it's still doing it. And it's very, very dangerous what they're doing, to tell you the truth. It's like
possibly.
it's like they're reacting angrily at the fact that they've been found out, and rather than apologizing and saying, you know what, guys, for years we've been fucking you, but we just, we're gonna be good. We're gonna do well now. And I wanted to ask you, because I just want to quickly touch on this, because I don't know if you've been following the scandal with Centevale, Prince Harry's charity.
I have. I follow him a lot more since I started talking to you.
No, no, no.
So
Well,
yeah, I
this
have
is
been.
actually
Yeah,
quite important, because this is something for people to understand, that this Sophie Chandauka is an absolute powerhouse, this lady. And you guys have to understand, for somebody like her, with a reputation like her, to come out and say the things that she said today on Sky News about Harry and Meghan, knowing full well the repercussions, because whether you want to believe it or not, the royal household is still protecting Harry. And then she has Mr. Ian Rawlinson, who is still the honorary vice president of the Trust of Prince William's Tusk Trust, who he is the royal patron of. And Santevale, this is one of the things that I talked to you about, gaslighting, because they have been siphoning funds like crazy. For example, and Harry, and there's people, even people in the Mexican community, defending Harry, who has been using this charity to whitewash his image.
yeah.
And they want to blame this Black African woman who has more qualifications in the dirt under her little pinky toe than Harry, Meghan, and the entire royal family would ever have. And I'm including the entire, except the Queen, entire royal family. And I include Prince William in that one. And I include Kate Middleton. So you see, I'm not a royalist, I'm a monarchist.
Yeah.
Because this lady, and all that they have to throw at her is that, oh, she had the hots for Harry, but the gaslighting of the mainstream media, because they have no choice, because she's Black, so they can't really go against her. But then they make sure that the entire bunch of crooks that are with Harry, they give them more airtime,
Yeah.
and she's willing to come with proof. Like she said, Harry's accusing her. Let me give you an example. Harry's accusing her that one of the funders for the polo games fell through last year. But then when she goes on the news today and she talks about it, she says, well, actually, we had secured a location because it was for Centevale. The people had agreed not to charge for us because it was for charity. But then Harry comes and says, oh, I want to use it for Netflix show. So then the people who own the place say, wait a minute, then this is no longer charitable. This is for commercial purposes. So we are going to charge you. So they
Yeah.
don't tell you why it fell through, because Harry's been monetizing Centevale. He's being, like the $30 million in Canada, they already went over budget. Um, they fire people. People have quit from, and they want to make it sound like it's just now. This is the
Yeah.
mainstream media right now. When Centevale had the huge scandal in 2006, 2009, 2012, 2016. I mean, it's been scandal, but they want to blame this lady who's guys, I kid you not, her. And some people are saying, well, credentials mean nothing. References, you know, Morgan Stanley, guys. Do you know what it takes for you to be this global COO of Morgan Stanley? Just one of the ones to give you an idea.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer. I mean, Oxford. I mean,
Well, I
and to
don't think
me,
there's any, they say there's no smoke without fire. I don't think there's any denying at this point in 2025 the amount of scandals and smears and negative press that Harry's received and Meghan, despite the press and the government even trying to cover up for them, I think proves beyond any reasonable doubt that
but have
Prince
you heard
Harry
what
and
she
his
said? Have
wife
you heard what
are
she said?
dirty.
But did you hear what she said? She said point blank that the reason, I mean, I have never heard somebody her say this the right way. She said that the reason why Santeval is suffering is because of Prince Harry's brand as toxic. Him and
Yeah.
his wife, and they
No
people
shit.
are put off. People are put off, but nobody wants to talk about that because
Uh,
who wants to donate to Harry and Meghan Markle?
it's staggering. It's staggering. But again, it's the same thing. It's this political game because they don't read the room. It was the same. I told you, it's the same with Trump and Brexit. It is all linked because it's a political game. They don't read the room. Trump wins and they're astounded. They're like, "How did this happen?" Or Brexit happens and they go, "Whoa, I never saw that coming." I was like, "Walk around my hometown and talk to people. 80% of them will tell you what's coming." They don't listen. And Prince Harry and Meghan have been roundly despised since the big scandal that erupted after Wimbledon, because that was the real target indicator of what was going on there. Because nobody thinks pensioners, old women in England, have an animus against Meghan and Harry. And it was only after that day when they went to the media and said that Meghan Markle seems to be extremely rude and bullying and mean spirited. And they instantly went, "Oh, yeah, you're all racists." They don't read the room. Like, everybody dislikes them. Of course, they've got a toxic brand. Who
But
likes Meghan Markle? Who?
no, but the thing is,
Tell me anyone.
I'm just going to show you a little clip here because I want you to look at me because people have claimed that this woman is deranged. I mean, you are a level-headed bloke. Tell me if this woman sounds deranged to you, Matt. Okay, please, please,
Yeah.
because
I like going with my gut.
I have, s- I have, I have, I have, I have tried to, to say, okay, maybe I'm biased. Okay. So listen to what this lady's saying and then let me know what you think because I don't think she sounds deranged.
Thank you for talking to us. Sophie, you and I have known each other for many years, particularly working on diversity in corporate leadership, but I've never had anything to do with your work with Prince Harry. So let's just start with the origins of Santa Bale. What was the point? What was the aim of setting it up?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Trevor, for having us here on behalf of the entire Centerbody organization, 540 strong. This is an opportunity for us to just set the record straight and also talk about the future of Centerbody. But where did it begin? Centerbody started as a very urgent risk in Lesotho and Botswana.
Okay, over time it's built to be quite a big outfit. It's a multi-million-dollar outfit, I think. You were on the board for 6 years. You've been more on board more recently.
2023, of course, the first thing you do is you open the annual
This is
report
important.
forum. Here we are, and I'll do my best to be frank in my disclosure. So when I arrived in July in 2023, of course, the first thing you do is you open the annual report, you look at the board minutes to see what it is going on in the organization. When you look at the I did a 7-year historical review of the financials, looking at our costs and looking at our revenues, so income. It was pretty obvious to me that we had lost quite a number of corporate sponsors, we'd lost some families, and we'd lost individuals who were donating to the organization. And there was quite a significant correlation between the time the organization started to see a departure of sort of major organizations and Prince Harry's departure from the UK itself. When you look at the board minutes, though, there is no discussion about what's happening with respect to some of our most significant funders. And then when you discuss with the senior executive team and ask why there isn't a conversation about this, the answer is it's really difficult to have this conversation because the instruction was it's an uncomfortable conversation to have with Prince Harry in the room.
So the central point here is when you look at the risk register of the charity and funding, number one risk is the Dutch Duke of Sussex.
Yes.
Is that your opinion, or
It is. It is.
Ian? Is that what you saw?
Yes, I mean, I think there's something underlying that as well, which is quite interesting. So if you look at how boards of trustees should work, where the public gets their comfort from is that they live in a rules-based governance framework, which in this case is regulated by the Charity Commission. And you're expecting the board to act independently, to support the charitable objects and support the interests of the organisation as a whole. If you get some trustees or a part of the board which is serving an external party, that can create a number of difficulties and it can create dysfunctionality. Because if they are serving the external party over and above the interests of the charity as a whole, you can get into a muddle.
To be absolutely clear here, you're saying, Sophie, number one, that what you discovered was essentially donors were walking because of the prince's reputation.
Yes.
Does she sound like a deranged? People are saying that she was hysterical.
No, you know why I really enjoyed that? Because it's linked to this, I'm glad you showed me it. It's linked to the sort of ideology that I practice in the real terms, which is rationalism. And I always say to people, just listen to what they say and go with your gut. And I've showed loads of videos in the past of people making heartfelt speeches and just played them and said, does he sound like he's lying? Does he sound like he's lying? And that lady there was clearly telling you exactly what happened. She's gone in as an industry professional, checked the books for 7 years, checked the meeting minutes, correlated why there's been a drop-off in the finances, and pinpointed exactly what the problem is. And the hilarious thing is, your average working class man in the UK would come to the exact same conclusion.
Exactly.
He's been toxic for about 7 years.
Exactly.
The second they started smearing everyone, and the second I went from a royalist to despising almost all of them involved, that's when the finances dropped off. Whoa, that's weird, isn't it? You don't have to be an industry professional to know this. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry alienated the general public. If you go back 10 years, you'll know, because you're a monarchist, right? Yeah. If you go back 10 years, Prince Harry was one of the most popular members of the royal family. I used to tell people I liked him. I was like, oh, I like Prince Harry. I did. And I briefly met him when I was in the military. I told you this.
Oh, right? No, you didn't tell me that. No, you didn't tell me that.
When we were training in Sennybridge in about 2007, I think it was before Herrick 6, when I went to Afghanistan, he was there, and he seemed more affable than a lot of the bog standard army officers. So I was like, oh, he seems a nice bloke. But then the whole scandal kicked off, where stories started coming out from the general public, and this is what I'm saying: why you don't need to be an industry professional. You just need to have common sense and listen to what that lady says, because that correlates with what every English person knows, is that everybody loved him, and then the stories came out, the personal attacks, the bullying, the lying about the pensioners, the scandal at Wimbledon, the attacks on Kate Middleton, the house staff. There was so many scandals. It went from, he was the second most popular royal after the Queen to the least popular over 3 or 4 years. Now, do you need to be an industry professional to guess that maybe having someone that toxic who went from popular to roundly despised, do you need to be an industry professional to think that that's going to hurt your bottom line? Of course you don't.
And also people, it's like people are shocked. I see the royalist. He has had so many people turn over. Like, for example, she's saying rightly that you should never be, according to this is the charity commissions, no trustee should be there more than 9 years, because then you get something called entrenchment. You're not allowed to. So they're telling her, she's talking about all of that, she's not, you're supposed to, and another thing that Harry wanted to do is he wanted to bring, the charity, remove it from Centevale and move it to California. And she's saying, why would we do that? Why would we do that? And then, it It is because he wants to absorb it because, no, did you know that Prince Harry last year in October, he hadn't been back to Lesotho for 5 years. She insisted he showed his face last year in October. That's why he was there. But he hadn't been there for 5 years. And this is a man who's been using this organization to whitewash. Oh, I'm with Sentebale. I can't be racist because I'm married to Meghan Markle, another woman who's racist, in my very humble opinion.
Yeah.
And it's like, and people are saying, well, we should remove Harry from because he wasn't really involved. Wait a minute. He's been saying all these years constantly that he is deeply involved in that. So either he's involved or he's not involved.
As I said, there's too many scandals now for them to ride the waves. I think they're roundly despised for a reason, and everything she said rings true with what I knew before even watching that video, which is they are loathed by the 85% of the general public who aren't woke. So
But not only
I
that,
knew that before I even watched it.
Matt, for example, they still haven't filed tax returns on March 12, 2022. The last one is 2022. They haven't filed the 2023, 2024. We know the scandal with the African parks. We know the scandal with the elephant money, $3 million elephant money that Disney ended up donating, with Archwell Foundation right now that they gave $250,000 to Joe Biden's daughter's spa. And she didn't reflect it. So somebody's lying. Either Archwell gave $250,000 or Joe Biden's daughter is not, when she filed her tax report for her charity, she didn't reflect it. But listen to what this lady says, because I really want you to see what you think if she's hysterical.
One of the ways in which Sentebale raised a lot of money. What happened?
We were so fortunate to have the opportunity to do a polo challenge in Miami last year in April. We had a very generous family that was happy for us to use their polo grounds at a material discount. And then about a month before the event was about to take place, Prince Harry called the team and said, I'm doing a Netflix show, and I would love to bring a camera crew so that I can include some footage in this show. And so the team called me and told me, oh, Prince Harry's made this request, so we're doing the things. I said, you can't be doing the things without seeking consent from the property owners, the sponsors, all the guests. Nobody signed up to being on a Netflix show. So we have this discussion about the need to talk to everybody and come up with draft agreements. And of course, the venue owner says this is not a commercial undertaking. So here are my terms. We couldn't afford it. So now we lost the venue. So we went to another venue. And we're lucky enough that Prince Harry's connections, actually, and a friend of his, there was another family that was prepared to host. The show went on, but there was a lot of disruption, right? A lot of people were unhappy because we worked on this for months. At the actual, on the actual day, we had Prince Harry, which is always wonderful. The Duchess decided to attend, but she told us she wasn't attending. And she brought a friend, a very famous friend.
Serena.
So you can imagine all of the activity that goes with these additional amazing people. We're excited about it. We would have been really excited had we known ahead of time, but we didn't. And so the choreography went badly on stage because we had too many people on stage. The international press captured this, and there was a lot of talk about the Duchess and the choreography on stage and whether she should have been there and her treatment of me. Prince Harry asked me to issue some sort of a statement in support of the Duchess, and I said I wouldn't. Not because I didn't care about the Duchess, but because I knew what would happen if I did so, number one. And number two, because we cannot be an extension of the Sussex.
What would have happened if you had simply just said, there's nothing wrong with what's happened, what the Duchess did?
Well, the Duchess has told Dr. Sophie Chandauka to make a press release about her, and then she'll get even worse story. That's what would have happened.
You said that Prince Harry wanted to, I'm quoting you, force the failure of the charity. Why on earth would he want a charity?
This is really bad, Matt. Listen to this.
To fail. I mean, that's he would have some justification for feeling hurt at allegation.
To be honest, it's a last resort. really what Prince Harry wanted to do was to eject me from the organization. And this went on for months. It went on for months through bullying, harassment. I have documentation. There were board meetings where members of the executive team and external strategic advisors were sending me messages saying, should I interrupt? Should I stop this? Oh my gosh, this is so bad. In fact, our strategic advisor for fundraising then sent me a message saying she wouldn't want to ever attend any more board meetings or bring her colleagues because of the treatment. When that failed, Prince Harry started to brief and his team sponsors that I've been speaking to against me and the charity, because that is a sure way of getting me out if it's seen as though I'm not being successful in my fundraising efforts.
That's the man
He's a
that
weasel.
people are defending him. That, and then they say, oh, but it's like, oh, but she was a failure because you have the patron calling behind her back, the very same sponsor she's reaching out to for funding and saying, don't donate.
Yeah. So she's got no chance. He's such a little weasel, isn't he? He's such
He's
a
a
little
coward.
rat.
He's such a coward. And you know what they
Yeah.
said? She filed an injunction and she's suing Sente Valley, right? But the press, Matt, I shouldn't be disappointed, but the press is just going so hard, and even some people in the Mexican community trying to trash this woman because this woman is not stupid. She has the Queen in 2021 awarded her an MBE. She's a lawyer. She's incredibly educated person. And it's like she knows that by coming out public, the reason why she came out public is like she says later in the interview, Matt, that she found out through the press that Harry and the entire board were quitting. They didn't even told her or her directors of the country or anything. She found out through the press. So basically, Harry set the machine, and then he lied. He said that because she had hired people and she paid them $600,000, and the reason why she had that guy sitting right next to her is Mr. Ian Rawlinson, is the guy who's still an honorary vice president to Prince William's Trust Fund, and this guy is top of the line, you know. And he's there saying, I am a witness to that because this woman knows at the very end of the day, the royal family will back Harry. And she knows that. So for
Yeah.
her to come out like this, guys, she has the receipts. She knows, as she says in the interview, I have been harassed. What he did, because he asked him, why do you say he's bullying? Because he issued a very damaging public statement, and me and the 540 people at Sente Vale have been threatened. He set up the PRs, the machine against us because you do get death threats. You know that. I don't know if you got them when you used to cover them, but the thing is
I've got
it's the
plenty, but
mainstream media. You
not
got them.
from the royal family. Just so you know, the chat said the sound was terrible on that. They said you have to mute your own audio. I'm not really
Oh,
getting it too bad. Said when you play a video, you have to mute your own audio. You get a feedback. So apparently,
So
the sound
you
was
didn't
bad.
get to hear what she said, guys?
No, we could hear it, but it was doubled up. I think I could.
It's
It didn't
yesterday
sound
when I
too bad
tried
to
to
me.
do that, it didn't. It went mute for some reason. So it must be something. I apologize for that. But then the thing is, though, that it is incredible, and then we saw, guys. So people have to understand the cojones that this woman has coming out, and she has to clap back, man, because and you know what Harry's saying? Oh, we didn't want to go to court, so we decided to leave the entire thing. If you know that this woman is a crook like you're claiming, you don't go to People magazine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, as I said, the fact of the matter is, public opinion has been made up by Harry and Meghan. People know what they're like. There's been too many scandals at this point. It's 2025. Like, this type of stuff started happening like 6 or 7 years ago. And like I said, the straw that brought the camel's back for me was Wimbledon. But there's been hundreds of former staffers, personal assistants, accountants come out and just said this guy's a crook. He's just a scumbag. He's clearly a weasel.
Megan too. I wanted to ask you about this because we talked about this. Because I thought it was a joke when I saw 6 policemen in the United Kingdom show up at a grandparents' house. Was it something like that?
No,
And
it
I
was.
thought it was a joke, and then it turns out it's all over the news, and it's true.
Yeah, I covered it yesterday on my live. Essentially, what happened was there was two parents who were in a WhatsApp group with all the parents from the school, and they were complaining about them, saying that it looked like it was shady how they just appointed someone to take the job as the head teacher. And because they said it was shady, the police, 6 of them, went round their house and arrested them, because obviously there's a counsellor on the board they've got friends in high places. And as I've said, the modern United Kingdom is no different from Stalin's Russia. So basically, if you criticise too loudly, you get arrested. And that's what happened to them. And apparently they were in the cells for 12 hours because they had a go at the teacher. It's ludicrous, isn't it? And that's what I keep telling everybody. People think I'm a miserable bastard because I'm now an expat and I live in the States, but it doesn't happen in America. At least in America, where the populace is armed and very, very angry, the government still has an element of fear from the people. And when you get school boards in America where the parent stands up and says, I'm just going to read you a little bit of this exercise book that my 8-year-old son was given in class. And she starts reading it. It's like obscene homosexual pornography. The type of stuff that would make Elton John blush, right? And they're reading it to 8-year-olds, right? You don't see people get arrested for that. Because, people that start shooting. If 6 coppers turned up at a bloke's door to arrest his wife because she criticised the teacher, I'll bet see the double-barrel shotguns coming out. So thankfully in America, we've still got some element of protection from this stuff. But what happens in the UK now is the worst type of authoritarianism, and it's happening everywhere. There's another one that I read yesterday briefly, an Irish teacher who didn't want to use they, them pronouns.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And they've arrested him.
Are they making him pay still?
No, they stole the money off him. In fact, I can segue into something else you might not know about, but it's all linked. Have you ever heard of Count Dankula? Do you know who Count Dankula is? The Nazi pub guy.
That sounds really funny.
So Count Dankula made a video where he had his girlfriend's dog. This was a famous story in the UK, probably about 8 years ago now. His girlfriend's got this little cute pug dog. And what he did was, she asked him to look after it when she was on a vacation. So when she's on vacation, he trained it so that whenever he says Zeke Heil, basically Nazi stuff, the dog would put its paw in the air. That is funny, isn't it? The joke is the animal's so cute.
It's so funny.
So the joke is the animal's so cute. When she comes home and he says that, and the dog starts putting its hand up, she's like, "Oh my God, you've turned my cute little pug into a Nazi." That was the whole point of the joke. Well, the police arrested him because they said he was promoting that ideology, even though it was a joke. And famously, this was the start of this type of stuff. He refused to pay the fine because they found him £800. And he said, what I'll do is I'll not pay the fine, because then if you don't pay the fine, they have to send you to prison. This is the argument many, many people have made, including that Trevor Phillips guy. You can't start legislating, even if you just say it's punishable by a fine, for people making jokes or people being rude or something. Because what if you don't pay the fine? Whenever the Conservatives say, so you're going to put people in prison for making jokes, you're going to put people in prison for disagreeing with someone, they say, oh, no, we're not going to put them in prison. It's just a fine. Well, the instant response to that is, what if you don't pay the fine? Right? And that's the quandary they're in. So Count Dankula said, I'm not going to pay the fine, and then they'll have to send me to prison. And then it'll be an international scandal. They sent me to prison for playing a joke on my girlfriend with a dog. So what they did was, they just stole the money from him. They waited until the depths of the night, and then they went to the bank and said, give us £800 out of his bank account. And the bank complied, and then they dusted their hands on it, and the story went away. But he made a video about it saying, they just stole my money. Well, this Irish guy said, I'm not paying the fine because I don't want to use they, them pronouns. So they stole, so they emptied his bank account. He had 40,000 euros in his bank account, and they just emptied his bank account one night. He said he went on his app, checked his current account balance, gone. 40 grand.
Are they going to give it back to him or what?
Of course they had. This is what I'm saying. So they lie. They say,
take it. They can't take that money. They can't take that money. Yeah,
they can. They can do whatever they want.
And they criticize Russia.
Exactly. And you're still in that sort of phase where, our generation, we're a little bit older. So a lot of people are still in denial, where you think you've got some form of civil rights in Europe. They can do whatever they want. It's the type of thing my dad says, they can't do that. They can. They can do whatever they like. They can steal all your money off you.
I don't know if you've ever heard, at least I used to, probably you don't know, The Far Side. Have you ever seen his books, the comedy things from The Far Side?
I have.
The Far Side, he does these cartoons. He
Let
looks
me
at
have a
The
look.
Far Side, he does these cartoons.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. He's an old, yeah, I know that,
It's like, I mean, people like him would be in jail right now.
Well, they've tried to do it to Dilbert, haven't they? Dilbert's a good comic that's been around for decades. Scott Adams, and he's conservative, and they've totally cancelled him. They cancel everyone. And it's, like I said, this is the modern... we're living in an era where they've brought back the Spanish Inquisition. They're in a cult. If you disagree with the cult, they get angry, and they excommunicate you, and they'll jail you, and they'll interrogate you, and they'll steal off you. They do all the same stuff the Catholic Church did at the worst excesses during the Napoleonic Wars.
Same position, I know that well. I just want to look at this comment because it's got to be a joke. Our comprehensive school head teacher sent all the parents a letter saying they would not, sorry, I can't say without laughing. They would not, they would not be providing litter trays to students who identify as cat or dog.
Swear down, this is true.
Joke?
Yeah, no, it's probably not. It's probably not in this day and age. It's a cult.
I mean, but it's okay for Harry to dress up as a Nazi, be
he can do
racist,
it.
be racist, but any folk like you and I or anybody else, and they go to, can't he sue this guy, this head teacher? I kind of followed his thing, but then I thought he was released now that this nonsense of them they had stopped.
The problem is, there is no due process anymore. When you're dealing with the Inquisition, you can't say to them, oh, come on, what about this? They do what they like. The courts are corrupt in the UK. It's ridiculous. Like, he can sue. It's the same in Ireland. He can sue. Well, what's that going to achieve? You know what you were saying about Harry having his little connections everywhere? Who's he going to... You have to use the legal mechanisms to sue someone. The courts will just side with the state. It's like, could you rely on the courts when Stalin was in charge? Because it's basically the exact same thing. There was a story today. I'm not making... Oh, there he is. Yeah, 6 coppers to arrest that.
Yeah, but then you have a guy coming and burning people and killing girls and stuff like that, and they don't send one cop.
There was a story today about a doctor.
I thought it was AI, to tell you the truth. I really thought it was AI, and I thought it was a joke. I asked you. I think I did. I said, oh, yeah, here it is. This has to be a joke, Angry Bootnik. Can you do a live about this? Because I was like...
I talked about this the other day. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy time to be alive. And then, the icing on top of this cake, everyone's talking about the 2-tier legal system. There was a story today. I'll share it, shall I?
Can you share it? Can you share it?
Yeah, it's when I'm on yours. I don't know how to work everything.
Oh, this is another one. African Parks, Matt. I don't know if you know this. This is from Baca. This is Harry. Did you know, this is what I wanted to tell you last year when Harry went to New York in September and October. He did a lot of fundraising. All of them were open to the press, except the African Park ones. It was closed because they're murdering the people there because they want to evacuate them in order to mine coltan.
In order to mine. Yeah, okay.
That's Cristiano right. Share your stuff so we can look at it.
Oh yeah, so this one. Well, look. So do you remember me saying to you though? This it's just one more example of the gaslighting they do. They always try and say, right, why can't I see it? Hang on.
I have it. It's on.
There you go. So, doctor not struck off because he raped a woman, but they said it was only a one-off.
What?
Right? Like, most blokes can go their entire life without doing that because it's such a monstrous crime that you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you're normal in the brain. But because this guy's not foreign, because this guy's not English, they just let him off with it. And I was talking about this story saying, like, look, you knew before you scrolled down to read it, you knew that the guy doing it wasn't going to be called Robert Smith, right? And it says, a doctor found by, you shouldn't laugh really, should you? But this is like,
Andrew Paul, yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
a doctor's found by a tribunal who have raped a young woman at his home, avoided being struck off when the panel said it was a one-off. Can you
And then,
imagine?
yeah, no, I know. And the thing is that I was thinking about it because why is King Charles calling? I got to tell you, I was really shocked when what Zelensky did in the Oval Office, what he did, right? And then
Zelensky.
Zelensky, yes. And then King Charles, because this wasn't the government, King Charles invited him to his private residence because you see, you can tell what Charles thinks of a person depending on where he asked him to come and see him. If it's Clarence House, they're his buddies.
Yeah.
If it's Sandringham, he hates Sandringham. So if he invites you to Sandringham, you're not well loved, which is where he invited Trump to go to. If Buckingham Palace or in Buckingham Palace, still acceptable, but the fact that he invited and he made a point of coming out to welcome him after what Zelensky did, and apparently now he's saying he's not going to sign any deal, the mineral deals or anything.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. So someone's been
Is
whispering
it
in his
true?
ear, haven't they? Yeah. Apparently so. Apparently he's digging his heels in. So, as I said,
This is the thing I don't get. Okay, I've said to Trump, I mean, like I'm anybody. I've said to Trump, Putin came out, and this is a fact. This is Ukraine with the rare earth that they have. This entire room is Russia with rare earth, which is basically this. And Russia has already said, I want a deal. I'll give you a fair deal. If it's business you want, we have tons more of. I mean, this guy is like a mom and pop store compared to what we have. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So we'll sign a deal. I don't understand, and because why Trump doesn't sign the deal with Putin, because then if that's what he wants, then what would happen is that then he would have American businesses in Russia, which means that the entire European Union would have to stop bombarding Russia or trashing Russia.
yeah.
Because
And they don't
people
want the
don't
war
know
to
the
end.
history. People don't know the history how this fucking thing got started, guys. And I suggest you go and look at the when Russia gave up East Germany. Go look at that treaty. I think you and I talked about it before.
Yeah. You know, the best guy for that is Peter Hitchens. Peter Hitchens, the journalist, he
Yeah.
knows the history of that place inside out. He spent time in communist Russia. Everything he said was spot on. And like he said, at the end of the day, it's a complex thing, but the scum that rules the world does not want the war to end. Because the longer the war goes on, their kids don't get fed into the meat grinder. They
No.
don't, nobody they know gets killed. But they make tons of money, and the arms companies sell tons of arms, and they're happy. It's deeply immoral. As I said, at this point, we are the bad guys, right?
Yeah, we are.
We are. The Americans have been saying, oh, the British, I can't believe they're even our allies anymore. We aren't. The people are, but the government isn't. Protesting Disney using fake dwarfs.
Did you see
I like
that
the way he's
stupid
got an
woman?
axe.
Did you see that woman? That the one that was with the thing. I mean, it's like they're not listening to the public. They're not listening to the public. And then the stupid woman says, I don't need your business. The one that's in Snow White. I mean, Snow White is a feudal story from Germany where the princess was so white, she was white as snow, and she was called, therefore, Snow White. And the poor dwarfs, I don't even know what the correct political thing is. If you're politically correct, please don't follow me because I don't know, because they keep changing the pronouns, the names. I
Do you
knew
know who
them
caused
as
all
dwarves.
this? Do you know who caused all that? It was that little shit who plays Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones. About 6 or 7 years ago, he came out and said, oh, I can't believe they're putting dwarves in a movie. So what he did, the little twat, to guarantee that he's the only dwarf in Hollywood, he pulled the drawbridge up after him. He got in a popular TV show, so the Yanks started putting him in everything. He was in like the X-Men film, he was in loads of stuff. Bolivar Trask in the X-Men, I used to like comics. He's not a dwarf in real life, but they were like, oh, he's that famous one, quick, put him in. So he pulled up the drawbridge after him. He got cast in every movie and every TV show. And then he thought, I want to guarantee I'm the only little shit with some action in Hollywood. So he said, oh, I can't, it's terribly politically incorrect to put a dwarf in Hollywood movie. Is he crazy? You ask any dwarf, do you want to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars? Do you want to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars for doing
Yeah.
less than fuck all, which is being an actor? Every dwarf would have your hand off, wouldn't they? If you were a dwarf and said, do you want to be in the Snow White movie, Disney, get loads of money? They'd be like, fuck yeah. If I was a dwarf, I'd be on the casting couch. I'd be like, not only will I do the film, I'll give Harvey Weinstein a wank if you'll put me in the
Did
fucking
you see?
film.
Did you see Candace Owens? Before we go to this quickly, guys, did you see this woman? Because I think I told you about this story, Matt. That this lady, Judge Lydia Mugambe, worked at the UN on slavery and human rights trafficking. She just got arrested for owning a slave. I mean, I
No,
kid you not.
that's not,
You
yeah,
can't.
I get it, but it's
You
part of
can't
the course, isn't it?
make this shit up. And I love Patrick Christie's, when he's talking about this is about Meghan Markle.
Said he only put her on the front cover back in
Mute yourself.
2017
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she was going to marry Prince Harry. Meghan Markle, adrift from reality? Well, in her latest move as a self-proclaimed female founder, she has proved that she is in touch with the everyday woman by launching an online clothing shop so fans can buy luxury items as seen in her latest Netflix lifestyle series.
Meghan, I want to ask about your look.
My who?
Your look. Your look, Meghan.
Oh, my Luke.
So tonight we turn this show into a live telesales. You too can shop the Meghan Markle look. Here we go. Hey, look, you've had your rainbow fruit platter. You're meeting the girlies for a bit of brunch, but you need a bag for the occasion. Well, look no further than this luxury camel textured handbag for just £380. You can fit all sorts of stuff in there. You can fit 20 million quid's worth of taxpayers' money for your flipping wedding. You can fit Prince Harry. He fits in there neatly. And when he pops his head out, you can just bang him back down. Wow, ladies, this could be yours. But get ready for organic flower petal parties with this stunning Windsor gown. It's in ivory silk. Yes, ivory silk. It can be yours for just £1,072. But the best bit about all of this, right, is that Meghan Markle, of course, we all know her, she's Little Miss Sustainability, isn't she? So whilst it is made out of real ivory from a dead elephant and a rhino, every time one's killed to make one of these dresses, she just plants another rhino. So there you go. Oh, hang on, I'm getting told now, being told, these are flying off the shelves. You're calling in for this non-stop.
That's actually unbelievable that it's used real ivory. Like,
Yes, she does. She
how do
does.
you call yourself an environmentalist when you saw fucking elephant's tusks?
She does, but she does. I mean, she's doing all of that. It is. I've been absolutely. Everything that I've seen so far, it is so embarrassing, Matt. What do you make of the phone call that was leaked or that they were in Signal? I wanted to ask your opinion about this. That was a stupid fuck up. I want to know. This is the question I want to know, and I'm pretty sure everybody here on the chat wants to know who added the reporter. And I wonder if this was done on purpose because you have to literally type in the number when you're on Signal.
I think it was on purpose. There's no such thing as
right?
coincidence. There's no
You
such thing as
do.
coincidence. Yeah. Think
Why
about
do
it,
you think-
right? So Trump wasn't that directly there because he's the whale they all want to speak. So he wasn't there. It was all his like underlings who he can protect. And secondly, you think out of all the people you could accidentally type the phone number in for and add them to the chat, it's gonna be the editor of one of the biggest liberal magazines in the United States. You think that's an accident? There's no such thing as coincidence.
No. Even guys, I'm not, you Matt of all people know that I'm not very techie. And I mean, you have to literally include the person. You see the names on the groups there, you would, and they know each other, and then you go, wait a minute, there's an odd one there,
Who added it? It can only have happened accidentally if he was wearing fucking boxing gloves while he's on his smartphone. That
but his
doesn't
name
happen
would
by
appear.
accident.
But his name would appear.
I think they did it because they wanted the people to know that they're playing hardball with Europe. And that's why there was a lot of them sentences like, oh, we'll do it, but I really, really hate bailing the Europeans out again. Because he wants to let them know, like, oh, we're doing all the lifting as usual. And you wankers need to start paying your way and bump your defence spending up. And as usual, because he's playing 4D chess, they haven't they? Now all of EU's paying for their own spending, so the Americans can go, okay, we can relax, take our foot off the gas a little bit. There's no way that wasn't on purpose.
You know why I thought this, Matt? You and I sometimes think exactly like, why I know? Because in diplomatic circles, that would have been a private conversation. And in private conversation, you can say whatever you want. Clearly, in diplomatic circles, like what happened with Zelensky, right? In the Oval Office in front of the world, you don't do that. Okay. I mean, in private, which is true because I work like that. I mean, you have no idea the things we say in private, when you're a diplomat or whatever, but that was supposed to be a secure thing where they're able to express and voice things that they wouldn't diplomatically say otherwise. So I agree with you. That was a way for them to let the world know how they feel without being blamed of being diplomatic about it.
Well, I'll ask you and everyone in the chat, have you ever accidentally added not just the wrong person to a chat where you have to very specifically press add and then press the person's name? Have you ever done that accidentally? And if you did do it accidentally, of the hundreds of names on your phones, would you pick one of the 2% of them that are, let's say, an editor of a liberal media organisation? It doesn't happen by accident. It's hard to add people to chat. You have to be. It annoys me. I'm sat there on my phone. I'm on WhatsApp, and I'm like, you have to be very deliberate.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I
happen by
got to
accident.
tell you something though. Once I was added to a group chat of Mexiteers, right? That they were literally trashing me and other Mexiteer YouTubers. So I was absolutely shocked that they were trashing me and a couple of other Mexiteers, very popular Mexiteers. And they hadn't realized that they had added me. Apparently, it was part of like an old group that they just reignited, and then they forgot to take me out. So after the 9th email, I just said, by the way, I am here. Thank you, Paula. Radio silence,
Yeah.
But I'm sure that was an old group because then when I went to look at it, it was an old group that we were still part of it. So basically, I guess they started communicating within the same group and they just forgot that I was there, because they're stupid. But you don't expect that at this level, especially, and
It's on
then
purpose. And like I said, it would be balance of probability on the off chance that someone's cack-handed and they've done it by accident. Of all the hundreds of people on his phone, is it going to be the editor of The Atlantic? Like, why wouldn't he accidentally add his mother-in-law, or his sister, or his brother, or his nephew, or his niece? Most of the people in your phone are people you know. It's like half the people you work with, half the people you personally know, and maybe it's a tiny percentage of people you barely know. And he accidentally adds the editor of the most liberal news organisation in America. Come on, it's bollocks. Anyway, that's an hour, Laura. I have to, Laura.
yeah, no, I know.
Call Laura.
No, but we're gonna well, you have to come back because I've missed you. I missed you so much. Believe it or not, I miss talking to you because it's such a refreshing thing to talk about other things. We have to talk about Joe Rogan admitting that Brigitte is and the Harvey Weinstein. Are you been following that?
I haven't. What's he done now?
Oh my God, no. Candace Owens has been communicating with him for 2 years. And it turns out that the only thing that's keeping him in jail is this woman's testimony, which is a lie. And he's going for an appeal right now. So she decided to take on Harvey Weinstein. And she's actually, I suggest you go watch it, Matt.
I will, because I'm a contrarian. And because everybody despises him, I love to try and get into the other side of it.
No, she admits. She says, I think he's a horrible human person, but to be guilty what he was accused, that's a big
No, and I agree. Ultimately, I watched a long podcast with what was her name? Lilani Dowding. She was on with do you know who she is? She was like a former Page 3 girl. Yeah. And she was talking about how it's all consensual in Hollywood. And this is the point I'm making. Harvey Weinstein's a scumbag. He's a fat slime ball who's saying to 23-year-old women, I'll put you in a film. You just have to suck my balls. It's morally, wrong.
He doesn't have balls. Did you know that? And that's how they found out that the woman was lying, because she said that she apparently licked his testicles and he has no testicles. He got up because he had some things. So the woman
blew off.
Yes.
The point I've made, and I said the same about Bill Cosby. Nobody will say it because it's unpopular, but I'm a contrarian. Bill Cosby, some of them women been on 18 dates with him. If I went on a date with a bird and when I woke up the next morning I had a very sore head and a very sore ass because she'd pegged me with a dildo, I wouldn't go on a date with her again. So the fact of the matter is, as unpopular as it sounds, those women were consensually doing it for large sums of money. I'm not judging them. I'm judging him. It is immoral. It is immoral to
Yeah,
tie a roll.
I wouldn't go on a second date.
Yeah, but it's immoral, and it's the same with Weinstein. Some of those women slept with him multiple times because he was like Rose McGowan. He was like,
Yeah.
"Give me a chew, and I'll put you in 3 films." And she was like, "3 films, fucking zip." That's what happened. Now,
No, but that's true. Now they're all angry. And next week, you have to come back next week because we have to talk about the Tate brothers, what happened to them in Florida. Because you were talking about Keir Stammer and you know what happened to Tate brothers, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, in Romania.
So we have to talk a lot. So next week you have to come back because go watch Candace. But the thing with Candace, because she has the Jeffrey, no, not Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, she has the
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein thing, and it's going to blow your mind away. I mean, she's been talking to him for 2 years, and apparently he's going to talk to her. But the evidence she has is amazing. So hopefully you can come back next Sunday and we can talk about this because it's unbelievable. You
I
know?
think my schedule's free. I think we'll tag up on WhatsApp, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, bye,
All right.
guys. Thank you
Thanks for having
coming.
me. See you later.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us always. You know that with Matt, it's always a pleasure. This is always. I just want to talk a little bit about the royal thing, if you don't mind, some of you who are here, because I am absolutely outraged, guys. Because Sophie Chandauka. This is a woman who is facing enormous machine. You guys have no idea what this lady is facing, and I am shocked. I shouldn't be, but I am disappointed at the hatred that the mainstream media and even some Mexiteers are throwing at this lady because it's unbelievable. And this goes to show how stupid some people can be. Okay, because it's unbelievable, guys. I mean, and I said it in a tweet just now. I'll show you the tweet so you see that. And I shared it in my community because you guys know I don't mince my words. You know that, and sometimes this is probably why people don't like me very much. I don't know why. Here's Cristiano. Oh, there I am live. I'm just want to show you this tweet here, guys, because it's like they were trashing the Sophie Shandaoka because they were saying that she has sunk the BB Awards, and that's not true. So I'm responding here. By the way, credentials do matter. References do matter. Prince Harry's only credential is that he's still a member of the monarchy, still featured on the monarchy's website. Other than that, he has no achievements of his own to boast about other than bought awards and Netflix deals, slagging off his family, and a long list of scandals, including with charity. I do get that people should know all the facts. Of course, we should. But to me, the fact that this lady is willing to go on the record and put her face out there, knowing full well what this means for her personally, and what's more, she can back it up. She is right addressing the elephant in the room, which nobody dares say out loud. That Harry and Meghan's brand is toxic and puts people off, and it has a negative impact with possible donors given the reputation they have. It is unbelievable. And I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but to me, this is why a lot of people don't come out. People who speak out because not only has she to contend with the Sussex squad, the Sussex machine, as she said that Harry set up, but also people from the mainstream media trying to completely discredit this lady who they used to praise. And even people from the Mexican community. It is absolutely disgusting, guys. So thank you very much for joining us. And Matt said he's going to be free for next Sunday. You guys keep asking me about what I'm using for my skin. I am telling you, I'm using Isomer skincare. I will leave the link in the video description and in the comments so you can get your discount. I'm not getting paid for this, but go get it. Okay. It's Canadian made. It's certified. It's a family owned business. It's made in Canada. So yes, I will leave you the link and and you can go look at it. But thank you for joining us. Please show love to Matt and go subscribe to his channel. Shit, I didn't put the channel. Let me just show Matt's channel very quickly because I adore Matt. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. And he doesn't mince his words. So here we go, guys. Please go subscribe to Matt the Angry Bootneck. I'm going to share his channel. Let me see. Let's get him to 100,000 subs. Is he close to 100,000 subs? Guys, we should. He has 68,700. He should be at 100, guys. So go watch his videos because they're amazing. He's an amazing mate, So thank you very much, guys. And I'll see you. Well, I'll drop a video tomorrow. And then, of course, my lives. I'm going to be doing a live later on for my members only. Thank you very much for watching. And you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And a happy Mother's Day, by the way, in England. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in England.